All right. We're gonna be get ready to begin. Sorry for the little inconvenience. HPD had some challenges, and we're gonna unmute Shaheem, please.
We can't unmute him. He would have to unmute himself.
Shaheem, can you unmute yourself? It's showing panelists muted, so you got to unmute him.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, perfect, perfect. We're clear to get started?
Yes.
Sweet, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My apologies for having some audio issues connecting to the Zoom call, but I am here and live. Apologies, I generally would share my camera, but as I was mentioning to the panelists, I'm remoting into my desktop, so I'm currently home. And if I were okay, I think
Shaheem?
I'm unmuted
Yeah.
again.
All right.
Yes, because yeah, it showed everyone muted again. So yeah, as I was mentioning, my name is Shaheen Taylor. I'm a representative from HPD's Housing Connect team, and I'm here to conduct this presentation. So without further ado, we're going to get started.
Shaheem, let me just say a few things before you begin. And I will turn
Sure.
my camera on, of course. Hold on. Oh, yeah, my video should be on. But good evening, everyone. And I want to thank you all for dialing in this morning to get some critical information on what we all know are the challenges around Housing Connect. Um, for a long time, and I know that there's still some work to be done on the website. We've been pushing the city to really look at reforms on it, and I think they've made some changes, but we look forward to working with HPD to even make Housing Connect even simpler to work through. And I just wanted to update everybody because there's a lot of housing units coming online. Just before the end of last year, we approved over 28,000 units of housing between Jamaica and Long Island City. We also, and one of the differences between what we've seen historically in Jamaica and LIC is that these projects will be mapped with what we call mandatory inclusionary housing, which is a big deal. Jamaica is the largest mandatory inclusionary housing mapped community in New York City's history. I was also the author, one of the authors of mandatory inclusionary housing, which now mandates a percentage of new development that comes up in these neighborhoods actually are really affordable to the people who live in them. So we always get this question, and I agree uh, a lot of times with the community when they say affordable to whom. So this is taking corrective action to ensure that as these units come on, one, that there is a community preference, although we were sued when it comes to community preference in the past. So there'll be a smaller percentage of those units because someone sued us um, over the course of the last few years. So there's still a lot of work to be done to make sure that we're maximizing these opportunities. And even though that lawsuit stands, that does not preclude you from being able to really apply, and apply. And I know often, sometimes um, we feel like we're getting turned down. But I will be honest with you in saying for every, you know, unit unit we put up, we're getting a building we put up, we're getting about almost 100,000 applications. So I don't want you to feel as if, and I know it's hard when you keep going on Housing Connect and you keep going on Housing Connect, and that feeling of will I ever get in, is it always settles in. What I always tell people is to keep applying, stay at it, because I've seen people who actually stayed at it and got into units. So I would also just argue that we also have a few other developments coming up. If you're interested, and this is going to be on the state side, we are in the process, and that RFP will have the first phase, which was responded to, is going to be the Creedmoor site in Eastern Queens. So that's going to be another almost a little bit over 2,000 units there. The Rockaways also has we just closed on the first phase of what we call Arvin East. So that development is going to allow us to start the process of building out a little bit over 2,000 units there as well. So there's a lot in the queue here. In April, Willets Point, which is the largest real affordable housing development that we've seen in the city in 40 years, we will start moving people in April. So I know they opened the housing lottery for that, and you should have applied for that. I don't believe we reached the deadline as of yet. So I just want to throw those things out to say that we are steadfast at making sure that in Queens that we are really building out real affordability, and that we can ensure that local residents in particular in these communities really have an opportunity, your community have an opportunity to move into quality, what I would call quality affordable housing. So with that being said, I hope Shaheem didn't drop off again, but we're going to go back to him. And then I would just ask my staff to really watch the screen to make sure that he's not being muted. All right. With that being said, thank you all for attending. And I hope you get some really valuable information tonight. And thank you, Shaheem, and thank you to HPD. And this won't be the only time we do this. We want to do these quarterly, because the idea is to make sure that we're really getting Queens residents settled in. And for instance, even for those who will be considered formerly homeless, in Willard's Point, 15% of those units are set aside for the formerly homeless. So we're also thinking about those who are unhoused. We just opened up the JFK Hilton, which is the first conversion of a hotel into straight housing for people who are unhoused. I think that's over 200, almost 300 units, almost 200 units, a little bit over, in real quality housing. So please stay engaged, stay on Housing Connect. You should be checking our website as well, in terms of looking for opportunities as well, and never hesitate to reach out to our office if you're in need of housing. That being said, I'm going to turn it over. You didn't come here to hear from me, but I am your Queensboro president, Donovan Richards, and I'm grateful for everyone attending. And please, if you're someone on Civic Leader, please make sure you're sharing this information as well with your networks as well. If you're a member organization as well who works with nonprofits as well. Thank you, and I'm going to turn it back over to Shaheem. And now you got to unmute him and just watch that we're not muting.
No, Shaheen, will you kindly unmute yourself and adjust your volume?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's up to the person.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Confirm if you're able to see the screen.
Yes.
And it shows the presentation, correct?
Yes.
All right. Give me 1 second. Is it on the, just to confirm, is it on the slide about HPD's Housing Connect program and mission?
Yes. It
Hello?
says about
Yes, it
HPD's
is?
Housing Connect program and
Oh,
mission. Yeah.
okay, thank you. So Without further ado, in the interest of time, we're going to speed through run quite a bit of this information because I want to allocate more time towards the demo. So as I mentioned, I represent HPD, which is Housing Preservation Development, and we have a sister agency by the name of Housing Development Corporation, also known as HDC. Collectively, these two city agencies create affordable housing opportunities through public-private partnerships with real estate developers and community sponsors. Our program, essentially Housing Connect, is free for everyone to apply, so you would never pay out of pocket to submit an application to receive services as it relates to Housing Connect. HPD nor ACC directly rent or manage a part from a specific building. We do not have access, or rather, should I say, we cannot intervene into that situation because each building has a specific management company that manages the building. The overall mission to achieve economic and geographic diversity of tenants, to comply with fair housing opportunity requirements, and to create affordable housing opportunities for qualified tenants in a way that is fair, open, and accessible to all, to everybody. So today's presentation outline is as follows. We're going to be discussing what is affordable housing, how can you find the affordable housing lotteries, how to prepare and apply to those housing lotteries. There's going to be a Housing Connect demo where for any folks that do not have an account, walk very quickly through the registration process, profile setup, and the overall portal. The biggest question that many folks ask, that many folks on this call probably have on the top of their mind, is what to expect after they apply, and of course, leave you guys with some resources and contact information. So what is affordable housing, you may ask? So before I go into the slide, and someone had mentioned, I believe it was the president, so affordable housing, a lot of people misconstrue affordable housing for low-income housing. Low-income housing is its own entity, meaning it is its own category. Affordable housing essentially is 1/3 of your income. So whatever income it is that you are making, whatever income it is that you're bringing home, 1/3 of that is allocated towards housing. Anytime that you spend more than 1/3 of your income, you would be considered what is called rent burden, meaning that it may be slightly difficult for you, the applicant, to pay for housing. So a lot of people tend to think or believe that affordable housing is for just simply low-income housing, whereas affordable housing is for all income levels and sizes. So regardless of whether you make $10,000, $0, six figures, 50,000, there are lotteries that are allocated to everyone. And the analogy that I love to use generally is fashion. When folks go shopping, you are spending money on your fashion taste contingent on the amount of money that you're bringing in. Someone that shops at, let's say, Christian Louboutin or Louis Vuitton, someone that doesn't ordinarily shop there is going to immediately say that is expensive. Why? Because that is not something that they would ordinarily buy. More or less, their income bracket or the amount of money that they make perhaps cannot afford that type of fashion. So affordable housing is usually achieved through a combination of below market loans and subsidies, and tax incentives offered in exchange to set affordability terms. That is how you are able to see the lotteries that we post onto our website and apply. And again, as mentioned, our affordable housing lottery site is free for everyone to apply. So how does Housing Connect work? So through Housing Connect, you can find and apply for not only rentals, but home ownership lotteries. A lot of folks do not know that we offer sales opportunities. To qualify, your household must meet the income and the size requirements for the units within the development. And we're going to touch more on that when we talk about occupancy guidelines, as well as the actual advertisement for any development that is posted on Housing Connect. For any voucher holders, the voucher holder must meet the rent requirements. So there's some vouchers that have a dollar amount, and then there are some vouchers that have a specific bedroom type that it will cover. The voucher must cover the rent requirements for the units within the lottery in order for a voucher applicant to be eligible for that development. Applicants can now specify the specific units or units that they are looking for and they want. Before, applicants would just simply apply and Housing Connect would match them to compatible units. Now applicants can specify if they want a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom. Your household profile must include all of the individuals that you plan on living with. So there's been many instances where there are two friends, or there's a couple and one has an account and the other has an account with the intent on living together. You intend on living together, please ensure that you are applying on one account and both individuals are listed on that one account. And as far as when you are contacted, this is a major concern for a lot of folks that may have applied and they may have not heard back, or they've applied.
Shaheen, your mic is muted again.
Could you just let me know where I was muted and what slide so that I can go back?
Go back one slide, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I was mentioning here was that these are just the different places where you can find affordable housing. As it relates to housing ambassadors, these are community-based organizations that will help assist the public in registering their accounts and profile setup. So if you ever need one-on-one assistance, housing ambassadors are there to help assist. We have over 40 community-based organizations that speak several different languages across the 5 boroughs of New York City. The service is 100% free, so you would never pay out of pocket. Just one thing key of note, applicants are responsible for monitoring their account and their applications. Occupancy guidelines. As it relates to Housing Connect, with each specific unit type, there is a occupancy limit. So as you can see on your screen, for studios, it's 1 to 2 people. 1 bedroom, it is 1 to 3. 2 bedrooms is 2 to 5. 3 bedrooms is 3 to 7, and 4 bedrooms is 4 to 9. So when you are applying for developments, your household is matched to the unit size that is eligible. So an applicant that has a household of 3 could either A, be assigned to a 1 bedroom, could be assigned to a 2 bedroom, or assigned to a 3 bedroom, depending on if they meet the income qualifications. These are just the different income sources that applicants will record on their profile. Of course, being gross income as it relates to employment. If there are any self-entrepreneurs on this call, it would be your net income. Other sources of income include unemployment, disability, workers' compensation, Social Security or SSI, pension, public assistance, child support, alimony, and gift income. Gift income would be uh, in the case of someone receiving a specific dollar amount, or they're receiving money, let's say from a family member or from a friend, that those contributions would consist with a frequency. This is not to be misconstrued with a guarantor or co-signee, because those two categories are prohibited. Every applicant that applies that does not have a voucher must supply their own income, prove that they have their own residual income. As it relates to rental subsidies, these are vouchers that may help pay a portion, if not all of the rent. However, the applicant must indicate it on their application. You can be eligible for developments even though you do not meet the income requirements. So if you have a voucher, you do not have to worry or concern yourself with the income requirement, because the voucher is going to be covering the rent. Down below, it's just a list of examples of vouchers that we commonly will see. However, if you have a voucher that is not listed on here, you are able to use that voucher to help assist in paying the rent. Just bear in mind that there are some vouchers that will not allow you to pay out of pocket, more specifically City for HEPS. Generally, Section 8 will allow you to pay out of pocket if there's a difference between the rent amount and what the voucher will cover. But there are some vouchers that will either have to cover everything or it won't cover any of the rent at all. Your rental subsidy voucher is not a source of income, as well as SNAP benefits. So if you receive food stamps, that is not considered income. These are just the different asset categories that are provided, that applicants will be asked to provide on their profile or on a paper application. The most commonly ones are generally your savings and your checking account. So you want to ensure that if you have one of the two accounts, that those accounts are also listed on your Housing Connect profile or on your application. 2025 Asset and Income Update. So applicants that have less than $51,600 can now self-certify, and do not have to provide any bank statements. So if you have less than that amount, you do not have to provide bank statements. For any folks that have more than that amount in their assets, then they would need to provide that information. Employed applicants only need to provide 1 month's worth of pay stubs. So in the past, applicants would have needed to submit 6 pay stubs. In such case, they only need to provide 1 month's worth. So if you get paid weekly, that is 4. If you get paid bi-weekly, bi-monthly, that would be 2. And the tax returns and W-2 requirement has been removed, so you would never be asked to submit that information unless you are a self-employed applicant. These are currently the 2025 asset limits. This is subject to change come April. To simplify this specific slide for everyone on this call, every development has a specific percentage, AMI, that is associated with the development. So if you are applying to a 20% AMI development, the asset limit would be capped at the family size of 4. Unless, of course, your family size is more than the amount that is listed. So if you have a household of 5, then the asset limit for the entire household would be $35,000 as to what that entire family can have in combined total assets. When applying for home ownership lotteries, because you are talking about a mortgage and needing to prove large sums of money, regardless of what AMI group that development is advertised at, it is set at the 175% limit, which would be $283,500. So you would need more money essentially when you are applying for a home ownership lottery. Next, we're going to talk about rental lotteries. So every development on Housing Connect is rent stabilized. What this simply means is that the landlord cannot jump your rent up exponentially or to whatever the market is dictating currently. In the free market, the landlord can decide if they want to increase the rent $1,000, $800, $500, whatever may have you, in which such case with Housing Connect lotteries, that cannot happen. Then we have what is called an initial lottery. An initial lottery is when a building is first constructed, it's moving tenants in for the very first time. All of those applicants will sign 1- and 2-year leases. Now, the management company to the building will know and anticipate specific vacancies based on lease renewals. So if folks are not renewing their lease, then those units become vacant. That is where the re-rental mini lottery process comes into play. So a re-rental mini lottery is a vacancy that will search for an eligible applicant through Housing Connect and pre-select them to see if they are interested in that vacancy. And if they are interested, they will be able to supply their documents and go through the eligibility process. A re-rental waitlist is a development anticipated to receive multiple vacancies happening at the same time. This development will then re-advertise its building so folks can apply to that waitlist lottery. And as vacancies become available, they will pull folks off the list to fill those vacancies. Now, as it relates to rentals, folks can own a home, but it cannot be within a 100-mile radius of New York City. There are no application fees that are associated with any of the rental lotteries. Finding affordable housing re-rentals. So as of May of last year, all vacant units will be posted on HPD and HCC's website. So when you visit our website, you would go to the services and information, and there is a section that will list management companies, and all of those management companies will now be able to list all of the vacancies. So this is just an additional source for applicants to find affordable housing. You can filter your search by borough and unit size. So if you're looking for a specific unit within a specific borough, you are able to also do that, and you will be able to see all of the listings that are currently available for folks. And again, this is outside of Housing Connect. This is just an additional source that is made available to the public. And of course, there are no application fees that are associated with folks looking for these vacancies. Next, we're going to talk about home ownership, and this consists of 3 different categories: condos, co-ops, and homes. We also have what is called a resale mini lottery for home ownership lotteries. There are many times where folks are no longer interested in paying their mortgage, and they would like to give back the unit to the company. And what the management company will do is that they will then find an eligible applicant through Housing Connect that is eligible for their said property. And if they are interested, they would then be supplied with a list of documents to provide so that it can prove their eligibility. Now, credit score is not a determinant when you are applying for a rental, but it is a determinant when you are applying for a home ownership lottery, because most banks will require a credit score of 620 or higher. It is only eligible for first-time home buyers. So if you purchased a home in the past, unfortunately, you would not be eligible for any of the home ownership lotteries on Housing Connect. And of course, the home ownership lotteries as well do not have application fees. Here, we're going to talk about Housing Connect updates. Generally, the website will undergo maintenance and will communicate, if applicants visit the website, when the scheduled maintenance is set to go. When the maintenance has concluded, if there are any updates or changes within Housing Connect, that information is provided as soon as the applicant accesses the website, and again, when they actually log into their website. So you just want to be sure that you're checking the instructions to see what has been indicated. So if there's something for you to complete, you are then able to complete that information to ensure that your profile remains completed. Now, here's where we're going to go into the actual live demo, where we're going to show you guys how to register and how to set up your profile. How do you locate and find the right lotteries in the advertisements, the benefits to applying online versus applying by mail, and how to view your application and your log numbers. I'm going to stop sharing for a brief second to reshare a new screen. Here we are. So most folks generally may not know the Housing Connect website off the top of their mind. What I generally would tell folks is you can go to any search engine and type in Housing Connect, and it will be the very first link that appears, or the very first website. So here we are with Housing Connect. This, of course, is our homepage, and the first thing that a user would need to do is register for a new account. First thing that it will ask you is to create a username. Now, your username cannot be and can never be an email, because it will not allow you to type a dot or an @ symbol. I'm attempting to type in a dot symbol. And then you would need to type in your password. retype your password, provide your first and last name. Here you will be asked to provide a primary email address to confirm the account. And then here you have the additional contact information via two different methods, a cell phone or alternative email. Now, the alternative email is the best recommended method because an alternative email, many a times folks have different email accounts that they can use and have direct access to, whether it be on your phone or through a computer. Whereas with the cell phone, you can use the cell phone. However, if you change your number and you do not remember your password, when you click forgot password, it's going to send the link to the number that was used when you registered the account. Therefore, if you don't have that number anymore, unfortunately, you would not be able to receive the link. The link also cannot be rerouted. So in an essence, you would lose access to that account. The applicant would need to manage their email if there are any developments that reach out to them from their previous account. Contact HPD and we will provide to you the contact information, the phone number and the email and the address so that you can either A, email your documents or B, go visit the management company's office to drop off your documents physically. Once you've concluded that, you would select I read and agree to the privacy policy and then click create my account. You would then be sent a 6-digit verification code expected to be entered so that it can confirm your account. Once you've done all of the following, then that is when you would be able to log in. Now here at the login screen, I am able to type an @ symbol and a dot symbol. If you type in an email, again, it's not going to recognize your account. So you can never don't log in with an email. If you forget your username, you can select forgot username. If you forgot your password, you can select forgot password. So here we are logged into Housing Connect. Let me just refresh this because our name should appear at the top right. Here we go. So this is our demo account for Maria Doe Smith. And we're going to follow the same pathway that a new registrant or anyone that needs to edit their information would follow. Here, if you needed to edit your house, here your household summary will provide a summary of your household, so letting you know how many members and the income as well as the asset value that you've indicated on your account. Once you select edit household, these areas are grayed out so it prevents users from misspelling their address. You would type in your address where it says enter the address here. If you don't have a current living address, you would select no current living address. It will just ask you for your most recent permanent living address. Then you would select next. Access to any of these living situations apply to you. You would select what is applicable to you. Once you select next, it asks, does anyone in your household receive rental assistance that will move with them to the new apartment? This is for any individual that has a voucher. If you have a rental subsidy voucher, you would indicate yes. When you do so, it will list different voucher types down here at the bottom. The voucher type that you receive or have is not listed. You would select the other box and a please describe voucher will be provided here where you would be able to list the voucher that you receive. You would then select next. And then this question is just simply answering yes or no if any of the individuals in your household receive income from any of the following sources. Just a simple yes or no. You would select next. Here's where you would be able to indicate your preferred unit size. So now this is also contingent on the amount of individuals that are on your profile. So this is a demo account for 2 individuals. So this demo account applicant would be eligible from a studio all the way up to a 2-bedroom. They would not be eligible for a 3 because the minimum household requirement for a 3-bedroom is 3 individuals. One thing to bear in mind that when you are selecting a preferred unit that you would like to be contacted for, let's say for an example, if this applicant only selected 2 bedrooms and a development has 2 bedrooms and 1 bedroom, if they lease up all of the 2 bedrooms, they would never contact you for the 1 bedroom, even if you qualify, because you specify specifically what you are interested in. Then you select next. Asks, is it possible to go from a sidewalk to your current apartment without going up or down any stairs? Again, you're answering what is applicable if that's something that you can do. And then the last component underneath household summary is housing choices. This is where you would be able to indicate if you are interested in re-rentals or resales. So everyone that has an online account, it is highly recommended that you indicate yes, because this is just an additional source, additional opportunity for you to secure housing. And then you can also tailor this to your specific needs, such as what size re-rental or resale units are you interested in? You would select the units that you are interested in. You would then select next. Then it will ask you to confirm the neighborhoods that you are interested in living in. It will provide to you all the 5 boroughs of New York City. If you select, for an example, we select Queens, I'm going to deselect Brooklyn. If you select this arrow, it's going to list neighborhoods within Queens. So if there are any vacancies within these areas of Queens and your profile matches that vacancy, you stand a chance to be contacted or selected for that vacancy. Then we're going to select next. Are you interested in units located in an elevator building or located on the first floor? Then you're just answering what is applicable to you. Are you interested in units in buildings where there's a flat entrance or accessible ramp? Then you're selecting what is applicable to you. The last question on here is, are you willing to live in a building with a no pet policy? You would select whether that is a yes or a no. And then there is no next button, so the next step would be to click the save option. Once you click the save option, then that is when you are able to add the household members. So if you needed to add a member, you select the add member button here. If you need to remove a member, you would select the 3 dots to the right of edit profile and click remove member. I'm going to select edit profile. So if you ever needed to edit your information, this is how you would also do it. So you cannot edit the first and last name of the head of household. So Maria Doe Smith is the head of household on this account. You're going to select what is your date of birth. Then you're going to enter your social security. In order to do that, you would need to click the show button. When you click the show button, that is when you're able to edit your social security number. We select next. Are you a student? This is a question specifically for minors. So if you are entering information for a minor, or you're entering information for, let's say, a child that is going away to college, and when they are out of their semester or they're on break, they're going to be accounted for as a part of your household. That is what this question is for, not for the adult household member that is going to college. So just bear that in mind. You're then going to select next. You have a disability. Currently, Housing Connect has units that are set aside for 3 specific disabilities: mobile, hearing, and vision. So if you or a member within the household has a disability, then you would select yes as the option. It will first ask you about mobility. So if you do not have a mobility disability, you would then select no. The next question then asks, do you have a hearing and or vision disability? Once you indicate yes on either of those disabilities, or it could be both, it asks, do you need a reasonable accommodation? And the reason why this question is asked is because it is with the understanding that individuals that have disabilities, one of the 3 disabilities as mentioned, may need specific things within the unit to be tailored. Now, again, it has to be reasonable. It cannot be something like a elevator being built in a 4-story building. That is not a reasonable accommodation. Reasonable accommodation would be like an entrance light, which we have listed on our demo account. As you see here, please describe the accommodation you need. Here it asks, do you need an extra bedroom? Now, this question is specifically for folks that have a caretaker or have certain medical equipment that is going to be with them in the lottery unit. So they may be able to qualify for an additional bedroom, and they will need to provide actual supporting documentation for the extra bedroom. Once we select next, this question now asks, have you ever served in the United States Armed Forces, National Guard, or Reserves? And now this question is asked and has more importance because we now have a military veteran preference that's been added to specific lotteries. So if you or anyone within the household has served, then you would indicate yes. Then these questions are simply for data purposes only, data collection purposes only. What ethnicity do you identify with? You can choose not to answer. What race do you identify with? You can choose not to answer. What gender do you identify with? And then the last question on your personal profile is the pronouns do you use? So when someone is addressing you or someone reaches out to you via email, they are addressing you by your proper pronouns. Once you select next, it will then allow you to save and start adding your income. If you ever needed to edit your income, you would select the edit option. If you needed to remove income, you would select the three dots to the right, and that will allow you to remove the income that is listed. So here, if you needed to add income, there's an add option where you would select the add. You're simply just going to select the type of income it is that you receive. Once you select next, or rather, let's actually go to one of these jobs listings. So it will ask you, who do you work for? The next question is, when did you start working for that specific company? Now, many of folks don't remember their exact start date. I generally would tell folks, or we generally tell folks, to enter the year that you started working for that company and January 1st and the year you started working. For any folks that are not working, but you've received a job offer, Housing Connect will not allow you, because it's 2025, excuse me. We go to 2026. Housing Connect will not allow you to select a future date. So instead, what you do, instead of the date for which you receive the offer, here we're just going to select January 9th. And if documents are requested, you would be able to provide proof of the job offer, which as income. Next question asks, are you an employee of the city of New York? Because there are certain developments that have preferences for those that work for the city. You select yes. It asks, does your job have any influence over decision-making in the affordable housing lottery process? If that is not the case, then you would select no. And then you would select the next button. And this question asks, do you have your most recent W-2 tax filing? So the reason why this question is asked is to make it as easy as possible for the applicant to record their income. If you indicate yes, I'm going to ask you to enter the income from boxes 1, 3, and 5. So again, just a step to make it easier for the applicant to record their income. Generally, you don't want to do this if you are switching jobs or have switched jobs, because you're going to be recording your previous W-2 from a job that you are not working at. So it's just best recommended that you would indicate no, so that you can then manually enter your income. So if you don't know your income, you can use the calculate income tool. And then here you would enter the amount of pay stubs that you currently have. Or if you have a job offer letter, your job offer will state the specific salary that you will be earning so that you can manually input it. So if you needed to calculate your income, say this pay stub was 1,000, this pay stub was 700, and then this pay stub was 1,400. All the applicant would need to do is change the pay frequency to how they get paid, and it will project what your income is based on the pay stubs that you've earned, your gross amount. You would select outside of the box, and here we're just going to put 30,000. The save option is supposed to be blue. I'm not too sure why it's not. Please do forgive us here. We're going to go back to member profile. So that's how you would record your income. You're going to select the next button, which would then allow you to save and start adding your assets. Now, Housing Connect will never ask you for your account number. The only thing you need to specify is the type of account and the bank institution. As you can see here, we have Chase Bank, TD Bank, Wells Fargo, savings, check-ins, and savings. And each account must list a dollar value. So we click the add button to add the account. Then select savings. What is the institution name? We're going to say Bank of America. Once we click save, it's going to ask for the cash value in the account. Now we're going to leave this blank because I do want to show folks an issue that happens quite a lot. I'm going to select next. The last question about assets is, do you own any real estate? We're going to click the save button here. And when we click save, our profile is going to show red. If your profile shows red, you are unable, Housing Connect will not allow you to submit applications because there is information that was recorded on the applicant's part, but there's pieces of that information that is missing. So if you ever encountered this or were to encounter this, go to your profile and select edit profile underneath the member that is incomplete. Go to your assets. And here we're telling the system that we have a Bank of America savings account. The system is asking what is the cash value, but it has not been listed. Here we're simply going to indicate $1. We're going to click the save button here and then click save on the bottom right. And now we're going to see green. Well, now our profile is complete. Now we're able to submit applications. To submit applications, you're going to go to the Open Lotteries tab. That is where you'll be able to see all of the developments that are accepting applications. Currently, right now, we have 40 lotteries, rental lotteries that are accepting applications. And if you were ever interested in a sales lottery or home ownership, you would select the sales tab and the sales lottery opportunities will be provided to you. So going back to rentals, mentioned we have 40 currently, but not all 40 of these lotteries are going to be eligible for you or I. So the way to find the right lottery for you would be this tool right here, which says Refine Search. And here's where you would go ahead and indicate your household size. So this is a demo account for 2 people. We're just going to put 50,000 for the sake of this exercise. You do not want to mess with the monthly and maximum rent. However, you can change the neighborhoods if you so choose or so please. Here we're simply going to exclude any lotteries that have already been applied to, and we're going to click search. What this is going to do is going to narrow down what this demo account applicant is eligible for. So here we find that out of 40, 11 out of the lotteries that are posted and currently accepting applications, this applicant is eligible for. So we're going to select Haven Court. Actually, let's see if there's a Queens development that might be better. Hey, Rockaway Village. So every development will have what we call a development name, which may be different than the address. So many folks will contact HPD or call us, and they'll give the address information, and we in return will ask if the applicant can provide the development name, because that is how we are able to look up the developments on our end. So every development will provide, a deadline date. So the deadline date for this development is February 9th, which ends in 20 days as of this date. This is the development name. And then it will have a list of the address or addresses if there are multiple buildings for the development. Here is just a generic, and I use that word very profoundly, a generic range of income. This is not necessary. This may not mean that an individual that makes $100,000 is eligible. And I'm going to tell you and show you why that is in a few short moments. And then, of course, we have the household size. Every development will provide details, so be sure that you are reading the details that are listed for the retrospective development, as it will include if the building is pet friendly. So this lists and specifies that it is pet friendly. If there are no pets, if there are any amenities, if there are any utilities the tenant is responsible for, all of that information will be provided in the details section. The amenities will always be provided to the far right-hand side. The affordable housing program is not really relevant for the public user. This is simply illustrating how the units are being funded by the city and what programs are actually partaking in the funding. And then here we see that there's a percentage of units set aside for mobility, which is 5%, 2%, which is vision/hearing. And then we have a percentage for units that will go to a specific community board, Queens Community Board 14. And then we have 10% for the municipal employee/military veteran. We scroll further down, we have the available units and requirements. This is one of the most important components to the development, because this will specify the specifics, meaning the specific household size and the specific income that is eligible for the units. Here we have a 1-bedroom with the rent amount of $617. There are going to be 13 1-bedrooms for this rent amount. And then we have household sizes from 1 up to 3. An applicant would at least need to make the minimum to qualify, not $1 short, up to the maximum, not $1 more. If they are $1 more, they are over the income limit. If they are $1 short, they are under the income limit. Every development will have what is called an area median income, also known as AMI, a percentage. So the lower the percentage, the lower the percentage, the lower the monthly rent, the lower the income requirement. As the percentage increases, so will the rent and so will the household income requirement. So if we scroll down slightly more, here we have a 50% category, one bedroom, where now the rent jumps to $1,300. There'll be 23 units. The minimum requirement for this one bedroom will be $48,926, whereas the 30% one bedroom, scroll back up, is $25,509. So again, as mentioned, as percentages increase, so will the rent and so will the income requirements. The asset limits can be found as well. If you were ever curious to know if you were over the asset limit, that is now specified on every single advertisement. And if we scroll slightly down below, this provides where the building is located. So if you were to type in the address in Google, this is the same exact snapshot that you would see on Google. Every development will have photos. Some developments will have in-unit photos. Some developments will have floor plans. It is not mandatory that each development has floor plans, but it is nice if the development does have that information to provide to the public to specify that on their building. Then who should apply? Individuals or households who meet the income and household size requirements listed in the available units table may apply. So this does not specify if you are within the income range that is listed on the very top of the development. Qualified applicants will be required to meet additional selection criteria, meaning that although I can say that I make, let's say, $25,000, if I'm contacted to submit documents, my paperwork would be required to meet the additional selection criteria. Applicants who live in New York City receive a general preference for apartments. What this simply means is that while any and everybody can apply for Housing Connect lotteries, it first focuses on folks that reside within the 5 boroughs of New York City before it can move someone that does not reside in New York City into one of its apartments. You never ever want to submit duplicate applications. You only want to send one application per lottery. You cannot apply by mail and apply online. You can. However, Housing Connect is a very smart system to where it will detect multiple applications, duplicate applications. So you want to only send in one application, and applicants who submit more than one application may be disqualified. When you have an online account, one of the benefits is that if I click this Apply Now button, I would be able to simultaneously submit an application to this development. If I wanted to apply by mail, in which we get many inquiries of folks asking for a application to be emailed or to be mailed directly to them. Unfortunately, HPD does not have access to the applications, so you would need to follow the instructions provided in the Apply by Mail section. If I click this Apply Now button, we're going to scroll to, it's going to bring us to the top, and it's going to ask us to please confirm your household composition below. This is the applicant's opportunity to verify that their information is correct. So if you still have a household size of 2, if your income is still the same, you want to ensure that this information is accurate. You can, however, submit an application, and if something changes after the fact, you can go to your profile and update your profile. When you do that, it will update all of your pending applications. So we're going to simply select I've read and agreed, and we're going to click the Submit button. And it's going to provide to us an application ID number. That is the number that you see right here, which is simply confirmation that you successfully submitted an application. Next, we're going to talk about your dashboard. This is your nucleus of all things Housing Connect, the main source of the main thing that you should be checking. So when you are checking your account, it is recommended that you check your account at least 3 times a week. You don't have to check it every day, but at least check it 3 times a week, once on the weekend, twice on the weekday. And what you are simply checking for is this summary where you see 4 different statuses. And what you would be checking for is if there's any applications that appear in action required. But we're going to start at the top. Pending just simply means that you submitted an application Nothing has happened to your application or with your application. They have not contacted you. They have not requested documents from you. You have not been rejected. Units are still available. All of that will be in your pending stage, and that is the beginning stage for every single application that you submit. As your applications move through to the next stage, if you receive a request for documents, it will appear in action required. If you are rejected, it will appear in action required. In process, one of two things, either A, you submitted documents for a lottery and your application and your documents are under review, or the applicant has missed their window to submit documents. Completed simply means that your application has reached its end state. So either A, you've signed your lease and you received your keys, or B, there are no units available, or C, you were rejected and you didn't answer to the rejection during by the deadline date. So here we're going to click View All, give a better overview, and you'll notice that some developments just say lottery application submitted with nothing above it. And then you will see that there are some developments that will say lottery application submitted with a log number. So here we have a log number for this development. If you see a log number underneath your development, think of the DMV. It's the analogy I like to use. You go to the DMV and you go to a ticket window and they provide you a ticket. If they don't contact your ticket, you cannot walk up to that window to handle whatever service it is that you're looking to receive. As I normally tell folks, they will look at you crazy until you go have a seat. Your log number is your place in line for a unit. So if you have a high log number, in such case here, 52,729, this number would have to be reached in order for you to have an opportunity to submit your documents. Same as it would be with this log number, 48,452. On average, we get anywhere between a minimum of 15,000 people applying to a development, upwards up to 80,000 people applying for lotteries. So that is why it is a lottery system. The log numbers are randomized. They are randomly assigned. No one can't, within HPD or within the city, dictate what log number is assigned to an applicant. It doesn't matter when you apply to a lottery, so it's not first come, first serve, as many or some people may think or believe. The log numbers are randomized. Okay, so here we have a low log number, 343, which is reasonable. And here we have log number 5,057. So if you see a log number on a specific development, that kind of gives you the indication, depending on how high or how low, gives you an indication of the likelihood of being contacted. If we scroll back to the top, we're going to go to the In Process tab, where you will find 3 applications where it says Submission Window Expired. So every development name will be listed. So we're going to click View Details, and every application will provide next step instructions. So if you ever was curious as to what your status is, what's going on with your application, if you have an online account, you have direct access to the status yourself. And in fact, as I tell some users, you will know your status before I or anyone within HPD will know your status. So presuming this page loads, I'll be able to show you exactly what is specified. So again, there will be specific instructions or next step instructions, as I call it, so that you have insight on what to expect. Here we go. So submission window expired is what the status is for this application. It specifies that the deadline to submit applications, I'm going to highlight this real quick. The deadline to submit documents has passed and your application will be rejected. At that time, you will receive another notification. So this is the next step, and will have an opportunity to appeal. Many a times folks will contact us and ask us if there's anything that they can do or we can do. Unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do because HPD does not handle the selection process. Every building has a management company that is assigned that handles the tenant selection process. And when they submit a request for documents, that applicant has 10 working days to submit their information, essentially 2 weeks to submit their documents. Every development will specify what is the required documentation. If you ever needed to see a full list of documents, if you wanted to prepare, you can pull up the documents here where it says full document list. And then if you scroll slightly down to the bottom here, you'll find that there are specific tabs. So here we have the household tab. So this records the information that was on the application when the application was pulled. When was the application pulled, you may ask? A date would then be provided. So because there's a date listed here, that is the information that was recorded at the time when the application was pulled. If any information has changed, unfortunately, the application will not update because the application was already pulled. The development would only be able to see the changed information when you submit your documents. How to submit documents? Let's say this was an application that showed up in Action Required. You will go to the Documents tab. There will be an upload button right here on the bottom where you would be able to upload the documents that have been requested from you. And then there would be a submit button to the left of the close option here. Of course, if you're not interested in the lottery, you find that you're no longer interested, you can always withdraw the application. But just bear in mind that if you withdraw the application, you cannot resubmit an application because at that juncture, that lottery is probably already concluded and or it's already still ongoing applications. The only way to reapply would be to submit a mailing application. Every development will have a contact tab. This is the point of contact for the lottery. Should you have any questions about your documents that you submitted, the contact information for that specific individual will appear here at the bottom. So if you contact HPD, while we are always willing and able to assist applicants, the best reference for where the status is with your documents would be the contact individual that is listed on the application. And you can also use the chat feature, which will allow you to chat with the person that is responsible for the development in real time. So that is something that was newly integrated some months ago, so feel free to utilize this. Now, one thing that I do want to mention before I exit out of this is that with the contact information, that information will only be revealed when your application has been selected. And the reason why is because generally folks are contacting or asking what is the status of their application. And ideally, the status of your application is found, especially if you apply by mail, you apply online, is provided to you already when you access the application. And they want to simply tell you that your application has not been reached. And in fact, we're actually going to back out real quick to go to the pending tab. And we're going to select an application that has a log number. And that too will tell you the next step instructions. Thank you for your application at the very top. Remember, if your household information changes in the future, you must update the My Household section of your account. Then it then specifies if your application is reached. So what is my status? Your status is pending. If my application is reached for processing, you will get a request to upload and submit documents. Those documents must support the household information in your Housing Connect account. So if your application has not received a request for documents, it is pending. If we go to the contact tab here, notice that there is no information listed down here on the bottom because your application has not been reached. When it is reached, then that is when the contact information for the point of contact is then revealed. We go over to the completed tab. You will find applications in many different stages. So here we have one that is ineligible, one that is rejected. So here, let's select the dome. Anytime that an applicant is rejected, the reason for the rejection is specified. So what is the reason for the rejection? So here is what it specifies. You did not respond to our first or second request for documents to confirm that you are eligible for this project. That is why the application was rejected. Now, what many of folks will say, which is reasonable and totally understandable, they'll say, I didn't receive a call or I didn't receive an email. The reality is that applicants will not be contacted by phone because the way that you apply is the way that you are contacted. If you apply online through Housing Connect, notifications will be sent directly to your Housing Connect account. If you apply by mail, you will receive mail sent to your home that will specify and outline what is expected for you to do as the applicant. Email is not a reliable, nor is it an optimal way to stay up to date with your applications. If you are an individual that relies a lot or relies on email, I'm here to slightly discourage that and tell you to ensure that you are checking your account at least 3 times a week. Again, twice on the weekday, once on the weekend, because when you receive a request, you have a 2-week window to submit your information. If you were to be rejected, you are afforded the opportunity to appeal. Now, that appeal has a specific deadline. So this says because you did not submit an appeal within the allowable time frame, your appeal window has expired. No further action can be taken on your application. Many of folks will email us or contact us by phone, asking if there's anything that can be done. The instructions are provided explicitly on the application on what can't be done. So unfortunately, and if this is our demo applicant, no action can be taken. Now, if they needed to submit their appeal, there would be an appeal tab. There would be an appeal tab, as you can see here, where they would be able to specify the reason for their appeal. Maybe they missed the notification. Here, they would then be able to upload the supporting documents for their appeal and then click the submit button. So while you can type anything here, the upload option is not available because the window, even if you click submit, it will not allow you to submit anything because the appeal window has expired. And you are able to still see the contact information of who the point of contact is, and you could possibly chat with the individual. However, you wouldn't receive a response because the application has closed due to the fact that the applicant did not submit their appeal within the allowable time frame. Here, there are certain instances where there'll be no units remaining. So it would specify that all units have been leased and your log number was not reached for further processing. So there may be instances where an applicant submits documents and then receives this status determination, no units available. Because by the time that they reach your number again, all the units were already assigned to other applicants. And there may be instances where applicants withdraw, they're no longer interested. It happens all of the time. And the development will reach out to you via email to see if you are still interested in a unit within their development. Our Learn tab is something that I encourage everybody to take advantage of. There are many different categories and topics to self-educate yourself. We have many different categories via video or transcript if you're a certain individual that likes to read. If you forget any of the steps, if you run into any forks in the road as it relates to your Housing Connect account, the Learn tab is the best resource for you to use. You want to ensure, so I just covered my applications. If you don't remember anything that I mentioned on this as it relates to your applications, you can go right here and it will provide you the same information that I just covered. Housing Connect allows applicants, the last thing that I want to show everyone, Housing Connect allows the user to change their preferred language. If you are a person that would like the website to be transferred to a specific language, we'll just click German. It will transcribe the entire website to German. And you'll be able to read and apply to lotteries of your preferential language, your preferred language. And this is going to conclude the actual live demo.
Great. Thank you, Shaheem. Don't mute. But great presentation. Few things. I get the website. So what do you do if you're an older adult, senior citizen? I know we don't use senior citizen necessarily, older adult, and you need assistance in filling out your application. Are there organizations or are there places that HPD has that they can go to? Do you guys do in-person housing workshops, by the way, to maybe help them with applications, or do you depend
Yes,
on profit partners? So if you can just speak to that.
sure. So we have housing ambassadors, and we have recently, I want to call it a pilot program where there are certain libraries that are participating and assisting applicants with one-on-one assistance.
Okay.
I don't have that list, but if anyone was ever curious, I'm going to provide our email and phone number towards the end so that folks, if they have any questions, they can email us and we can give them the information that they're looking for.
So if you can send that to us, and then is it feasible? Because I know this was a lot of information and to take in at one time, and even as the borough president, it was a lot to take in at one time. But great presentation. Is there a way that we can get an emailed copy of the presentation for those who are requesting?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there are a lot of
Absolutely.
people in the
Yes,
chat,
I can.
and then if my staff can also, because we're saying like we have a webinar, so you'll be able to watch this if y'all can plug in the website for those who ask, because we are recording this as well. If y'all can plug in the actual website rather than just like you can watch the QBPO webinar, like no one knows what that is. Um, yeah, those were just my quick questions on that. And then you sort of talked about AMIs, right? But because we're in government, it goes over people's heads. So 30% AMI would be what, around somebody earning 30,000, correct? A year?
Correct. You can also, yes, correct. You can also visit the HPD website, or you can even use Google and you can type in AMI NYC and it will list the specific percentages and what the income range fits within that area median income.
Right. And then also for those who are in shelter, you should be working with I believe you should have a housing counselor. So a lot of the units coming online, so Rockaway Village is a good example of that. That was actually a development that I rezoned. So 15% of those units go to what we would call then the formerly homeless, formerly unhoused. So Willard's Point, very similar. So you should, if you're in shelter, and I don't know if you want to just touch on that, Shaheem or Lisa, but you definitely want to make sure you're working with your housing counselors to apply through them to some of these units. So some of these units, it may say 30% to, 100 and whatever, $1,000, but they will have 15% set aside for the formerly homeless as well. So I would suggest that you also work through your housing counselors if you're in shelter.
Well said.
Yeah, that basically covers it. Honestly, there isn't any additional information to provide, but yes, you work with your housing counselor or you work with the person that's appointed to you, and they will help assist and aid you in the process.
Yeah, and if you could just provide, like I said, that list of the housing ambassadors. I know that we worked on a couple of nonprofits that do the work, so that would be good for us to have, and to also be able to put out. And then if you can send us the presentation and ensure everybody who requested a presentation gets it. My staff should actually, if you can put your emails in, if you're requesting it, if we can go back through, or email Lisa. I don't know if you want to give your email.
They can send it to planning, PLANNING, at Queens, QUEENS, B like borough, P like president, .nyc.gov. And I'll put that in the chat.
Yeah. I don't know. Are there any other questions that we want him to clarify before he goes out? And just on the answering too, Shaheem. So y'all won't answer you. It'll say it within the application. I mean, within the website, right? Within your dashboard.
So, what's that you're referring to?
Because what we always hear is that people never hear a response. So that would be up to the building's owner and whoever they are working with, correct? To get back to people.
That is correct. Now, there are instances where applicants are reaching out diligently to the building and the building's non-responsive. They can contact HPD, and we have every building that we post on our website. There's an assigned project manager at HPD. We can get in contact with that individual so that they can, on the applicant's behalf, reach out and find out more information as it relates to their application.
Right. And then you could always also contact Lisa as well on our staff, or Sola is on. He put his you can always contact planning at queensbp.nyc.gov as well, and just ensure that we're aware as well, so we can do some follow-up work if you're not hearing anything. And I just want, for those who are like, hey, I've been waiting for years, like we are really in a crisis, right? So it's been unfortunate that we haven't built at the pace of of the growth of the city, of those who are struggling. But this is why we have been steadfast in making sure that we push back against anti-housing sentiments. And I want to thank HPD because we relatively got a lot done over the course of the last 4 years to finally start to see some real units coming online. So now it's just making sure individuals know how to apply. You can also sign up. You can go to our website and we send out a newsletter every Friday, which also has some pertinent information on different things happening at Queens BP, if y'all can put that in as well. So you could sign up queensbp.nyc.gov, and my staff, like I said, just put that in the chat, and then you can go in and pretty much sign up for, what's happening around the borough. So yeah, so it's just unfortunately that we as a city have failed and moved very slowly in building affordable housing. But there's been a lot of progress, like I said, over the last year or two, which we're very proud of. So, all righty, I'll turn it back over to you, Shaheem, if you have any last comments or concerns. And I want to thank you for swimming through, and apologize once again to everybody for the little technical difficulties. But where there's a will, there's a way, and we found a way. So thank you, Shaheem, and to my staff.
No problem. Just want to leave with closing remarks. We understand greatly how much the housing crisis is in New York City. It's by far the most people in the world, believe it or not. New York City in general, not just New York State, but New York City has the most amount of people living in its 5 boroughs. And the unfortunate reality is that currently right now, we don't have as many units as there are people. And the city is continuously making strides. It won't be perfect, but it is a process that the city is governing and trying to get as close to perfection as possible. The only thing the applicant can control is submitting an application and just monitoring their dashboard, monitoring the application to see if they are contacted. Outside of that, the applicant cannot expedite the application review process. We understand that certain folks may have certain deadlines as it relates to their vouchers. Their vouchers are getting ready to expire. There are extension opportunities for those vouchers. So as the applicant gets closer to or goes through the eligibility process, some of those things will be recommended to the applicant to do and await for a unit in the event that they are contacted. But we're certainly looking forward to what 2026 has to offer and bring. We are definitely going to be publishing a lot more affordable developments. So before, a lot of folks were accustomed to seeing the extremely high rents, and you occasionally will see those, but we are generally cycling down to where rents are much more reasonable. And just to give some more insight, we partake in meetings before the public even sees what the rents are going to be. And we here at HPD, we challenge the building developers and the building owners to make the rents affordable. It does not make sense to have your rent, let's say for an example, $3,000 as marketed as affordable, and a free market unit is $3,500. Because there should be a distinguished difference between the two, where the affordable price is much more lower than what the free market is currently dictating. And we just hope that with the new mayor in place, we just got a new HPD commissioner, that we continue to make the strides forward to make New York affordable again. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, everyone. And if there are any further questions, you can certainly submit a inquiry to planning@queensbp.nyc.gov. Thank you all for your patience. And if there are any questions, please raise your hand. I'm going to call on a hand I see raised. Mona Georges. Can Mona unmute herself? All right. Allison Alexis. Do you see her?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is
Can you
Allison.
turn on your, hi, can you turn on your camera, please?
I cannot find my camera. I'm the worst with this.
It's the lower left-hand corner.
Mm, okay, I just unmuted. Yeah, I'm looking, but I'm not finding it.
Don't worry about it.
Okay,
Just
what
you
is
can
your,
ask the question.
All right, I just didn't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you for this webinar, Borough President Richards.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys so much. I truly appreciate it. I know I have to connect with your office and I just haven't been able to. I've been on a new nonprofit and been to some of the webinars that Susie has, but this is very informative for me. I truly appreciate it. And I really need some help with this particular issue. I do have an account with Housing Connect, but I do need some help with it. And I just hope that there's someone I can connect with to try to get some of the help that I need, especially for housing, because I'm in a situation right now, but so I'm going to reach out to the numbers that are there and figure out who's the best person for me to connect with. But I really wanted to say thank you for the webinar. I appreciate it so
You're
much.
welcome. And Lisa is the person to speak with, and she's the person who just called.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
and next. Oh, that's the last one I have in the queue.
Yeah, Mavis Joseph.
Hi, good night, everyone. I just want to say thank you for the webinar. And I came across your brochure because I'm part of the community affairs for the 103rd Precinct. I'm the Sergeant of Arms. And normally when we have our meeting, we have people from different, organizations. And I'm glad that I took the paper and joined in as myself. I've been living in somebody's house, which I can't, for a very long time. And it's not like so comfortable or where I would like to be. And I'm very appreciative. And I think we should do this more often. Yeah.
We're
I think
gonna do these quarterly.
yeah. Wow, that sounds good. So people who really didn't have a clear understanding, maybe in the second round, they can have full knowledge of what this is all about. I appreciate it very much and keep on doing the good work. Thank you.
Rosalie Reed, please unmute yourself.
Hello,
Good evening.
Yes.
good evening. I applied for the housing for several years because disabled, but I can move around to the bathroom. My son is disabled with a muscle disorder, and the bathroom he cannot for the last over 4 years he can't go in the bathroom because it's not wheelchair accessible. I received letter, oh yeah, you are chosen. Then I receive another second letter, oh, when we sent out that letter, we already have enough, so disregard the letter. I got 3 letters like that before. And it's so fed up. I don't know what to do.
I don't know if Shaheem is
This
still on and wants to take this.
yeah, I'm still on. Is this related to Housing Connect development?
Yes, I have an account there that
Okay,
I
so
always apply.
so what I would recommend, since it's more specific, and slightly sensitive, what I would recommend is to send an email to our Housing Connect email.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of 2 individuals that's responsible for answering all of the email inquiries as they come in for Housing Connect.
Mm-hmm.
Send us an email with the development name so that we can look into your case and see what happened.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
All right.
We'll do one more, and then we're gonna close out.
I didn't know that they would see because
I think Rosalie Reed, we're gonna unmute.
No, she just talked.
Finished. Okay, so did we get everybody with a hand?
Yeah, I think Mona George's is the. Oh, what? Heidi
Mona
James.
George's last question.
Heidi James.
Heidi James also.
Hi. Hi, good afternoon. Hi.
Oh,
So I have
hello.
a, hello? Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, please
Yes.
go ahead.
Okay, yes. And that happened, I have two questions actually. The first one is, I want to let you know, I am a nurse, I am single mother. I living with my parents. My son have special needs. I was applied since 2015, but I reapply again. I was using, I think I have an issue with my account. I have
Okay,
to
do you know
in
what
my
the issue
email,
is?
I don't know because I was trying to find the number and I don't have any number. I think that I create one account with my email, but after it's like another email that is not mine. I don't create this email, but something is going on. I don't know what happened with this because I was trying, actually now I was trying to change the email again, my previous email, but they don't let me to change the email.
Well, you can change your primary email. You would have to access your account, and when you go to your account, where you see your name, you would select the drop down that says My Account,
Yes, I
and that is
I
where
saw my
that's where you would
name.
be able to change the primary email.
Sorry, I saw my name. Since 2015, I have the same, I put my name, but the thing is now is different. The account is different. And I was very concerned because I was applying since 2015.
Yeah. So, do you have an account on the interface that I was just showing during the demo? Because
Yes,
the
yes,
website that I provided or that I was showing, okay, so you do have an account with, and you're saying that the email, when you log into your account, the email that shows is not your email?
yes. So it's like two different emails.
Yeah, so what I would recommend is just editing the email. The only other suggestion, or the only other thing that I can think of is that someone has access to your account or knows your login information, or you may have logged in somewhere and with the way that technology works, you're able to save your information when you log into specific sites. They have access to. So what I would recommend is change your password first, so that this
Okay,
way that access cannot be granted. And then as far as the email is concerned, edit the email on your account.
okay, thank you. And regarding the number, where I can find this number?
I
Because
provided
you
the
say
number
it's
in
a
the
long
chat.
number. Sorry?
I provided the number has been provided in the chat, but I can provide it to you right now if you have a pen and paper.
Oh, thank you. Yes, please.
So just let me know when you are ready.
Yes, I'm ready.
It is 212-863-7990.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank
No
you.
problem.
Okay, last
Is it-
question.
sorry, the issue that I have is the possibility, so nobody call me or contact me since 2015? Or what you think
That's because your
is
log number hasn't been reached. That's because your log number has not been reached. How are you applying? Are you applying online or are you applying by mail?
online? I applied online.
Yeah, so I
2015
would recommend,
and 2024, I apply again.
yeah, understood. What I would recommend is checking your dashboard. When you check your dashboard, you're going to see select all of your applications and look at the log number that has been assigned to the development you applied to. If that log number is high, the less likely the chances of being contacted. Some of these developments may only have 10 units, and if there's 15,000 people that are applying, 80,000 people that are applying, only 4 out of that amount of people are going to be selected for a unit.
Yes, but when you say loan number, where I can't see this number because I was trying to log in
Oh,
my account.
Why don't we have Lisa, if you can follow up with him or Lisa, they gave you a number offline because I don't want to get into individual situations too
Okay,
much.
yes, sorry.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
just to respect people's time.
Yes, thank you
No
very
problem.
much.
You
Thank
have the
you.
follow-up information.
It's a great opportunity
Thank
to
you,
have
Heidi.
those. Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, we have a caller. I'm sorry. I thought it was David Chin. David Chin, please unmute yourself.
All right, going once, going twice. Just put say your email for him, and then he can just email if there's an issue. But the emails are in the inbox. So David, if you can't unmute, then just put your email. Send an email.
Yes, you can drop it in the chat and I'll call you directly.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
We'll move on to Cindy Smith. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, good evening. I am, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
yes.
Oh, perfect. So I recently got reached out to, I want to say sometime in November, late October, early November. And my log number is in the 200s. I'm just curious to know, should I follow up with these folks or should I don't know what my next step should be.
Yes,
I already
I would
submitted
recommend
documents as
following
well.
up.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So I would recommend following up, yes. If the management company is unresponsive or non-responsive, excuse me, then the next step to take would be to contact HPD and provide us with the information such as
Sola.
the development name,
Allison spoke
so
earlier,
that
right?
this way we can contact them.
Okay. So that's the number you provided here?
That is correct, as well as the email. If you can't reach us by phone because our lines get tied up very quickly, shoot us an email.
Yeah, I think that's the same
For
thing
faster
with
response
these
time.
folks. I've tried calling, but not successful getting through to anyone. So, okay. Thank you.
All right. I think that's it for the questions, right? David, you got one last chance. You got to unmute. David Chen. All righty. All righty. With that being said, I want to thank you all for coming out. Thank you, Shaheem. Thank you to my staff, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one. But God willing, this list will decrease because there's a lot of units coming online. So as it was stated, for every unit, there's about 80,000 people who apply. So that's the reality we're in, and that's why we're hard at work at making sure that we build in Queens County. So please stay tuned to some of the developments coming online, and please don't give up. Make sure you're checking your numbers, as Shaheem said, because that is critical. Making sure your application is done correctly, because you just never know when you'll get called. And I've seen plenty of people who never expected to get a unit who were like, I was going to give up, who didn't give up. So please don't feel despair. There's hope. And this is why we're working with the new mayor and HPD to chart a path forward for everyone. So thank you all for attending tonight, and we'll see you the next time. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Good evening.